Hi, I'm Scientist Mel, and you are watching Atheist Edge.
All right, so Mark, you just, man, I felt so bad for you because you just unfortunately witnessed our atheist rendition of Song of Solomon, aka the Song of Songs. So this is the third one you've looked at, our little our atheist take on various books of the Bible that are they go by the wayside. They don't get really talked about much in Sunday school. So this one, it was really spicy, really steamy, and I felt really bad for you. But as long as your ears were fine with it, it got a little racy there at times. But what was your... All right, first, what we're talking about is Song of Solomon. It's the 22nd book in the Bible. It's in the Old Testament.
Somewhere along there.
Right.
It's, well, no, I mean, if you want to call it outright, it's like the centerfold of the Bible, right?
It, in more ways than one. You are correct, sir. What was your take on our version of it compared to how you read it? And, well, I'll ask you why it should be in the Bible later.
Okay. Again, yeah, I sound like a broken record, and I think you provide to us, to the church, help in the sense that you bring out some things in here that we just typically won't bring out. You know, there's a lot of stuff in here as I read it, and I've thought it myself. I've not, that other people have necessarily brought out as clearly. But there's stuff in here. It's like, I wonder if that means that, or if that means that. Now, there's some things I think you brought out that I just don't think are here. At least if I couldn't
There's
find
a lot of symbolism going on here.
No, there is, and
I'll give you that.
And so I think that some of what you said was stretch things beyond the appropriate boundaries of the. I don't mean
that's our show. We always push the
I don't
boundaries.
mean it in the sense of being inappropriate. This is atheist, so I mean you have your own boundaries, okay? But I'm just talking about in the sense of reasonably. This is what the text means, regardless whether we like it or not. I think there's times when you might have stepped out on it, but I think there are parts that you did bring out that it's a very sensual book, and it's meant to be that way. Yeah. Why is that? Because God invented sex.
It's a natural thing. It should be celebrated. Right?
Yeah, now.
But my big question is, why is this book even in the Bible? Because there's no larger message that I could see. It almost is pornography in the truest sense of the word, meaning it's titillating for its own sake. It's not telling a bigger message. Sex is fine, Christians even agree, but I don't see a big message why all this sexual innuendo has to be put in there without there being some underlying meaning.
Well, there is. Okay. Let me back up just a second. So, sex is something that God has created, and on every day of creation, and it was good, and it was good, and it was good. And when He finished man, He said, and it was very good. So, all of this is good. Now, the fall perverts this. So the fall has screwed up a lot of things, or everything, okay? It just permeates everything. So that doesn't mean, oh, well, anything goes. I would not agree with that. I think there's boundaries. I think, all kind. And the thing is everybody agrees there's boundaries. It's just a matter where you put them, right? Everybody is going to have boundaries. You are with a woman, and you've been with her 2 years. Let's say you're not even married. She goes out and sleeps with someone else. What do you think? You're not happy. There are always boundaries. Yeah. It's a matter of what the boundaries are. There are always boundaries. There's boundaries on even on pornography. There's boundaries on child. There's all kinds of boundaries on child pornography. So there's always boundaries. It's just a matter of what they are. You can't look at them and say, well, they put boundaries and they don't. Everybody does. We all exist in the fall, and whether we admit it or not, we know that there's a right and we know that there's a wrong in almost any activity. There's nothing that's pure evil. Even Satan isn't pure evil. Satan has existence. He has intelligence.
He's an angel.
He's perverted that.
Still an angel, right?
Yeah, he's spiritual, but he has existence, he has will, and he has intelligence. Those in and of themselves are good things. He has incredibly perverted it, and more than, I guess, anything else has. And so I'm not saying there's anything that to emulate from that, other than nothing. I mean, C.S. Lewis does it so well in the Screw Tape Letters, because the junior devil, the senior devil's talking to the junior devil. He says, "We are creating. You're going to have to you're going to have to use the enemy's stuff. You're going to have to take it and corrupt it, because our factories downstairs." We're working diligently to make the pure evil thing. But until we do, you're going to have to use the enemy's, meaning God's, stuff. This is God's stuff. So why not celebrate it? I mean, if it's
celebrate
God's
sex
stuff,
for the act of sex, but are you comfortable with how graphic this book of the Bible gets? Like there's a specific passage in particular where she asks him to put his hand down near her, so that I may move my bowels for you. And
that's not there. You're going to have to show me that.
Okay.
That's where that was the one thing where I was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean,
well,
at least
either I had a fever dream and I dreamed it, or the actual verse will be on the screen right now.
Yeah, please. Yeah, please do. And because I did look that up. I mean, because even if that's there, even if there is something like that there, I'm not sure that what you're saying is exactly how that should be.
Context.
The context. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I did actually think, boy, I don't remember that passage. I've read it. I've read it more than once. I've read it more than twice, and I've read it a good number of times. And
before I started this,
I don't remember that particular passage.
Before I read it, and I've read the Bible 7 times cover to cover, most of which in research for my first book, but I don't know why, but I thought Song of Solomon and Song of Songs were 2 different books of the Bible. Yeah, it's just commonly, maybe the passage about place your hand near the opening of my backside so that I may move my bowels for you. Maybe that appears in a different translation. And it might have been corrupted by translation.
Yeah, you'd have to kind of show. Anyway. And maybe it's in there.
I noticed in your notes that you want to talk about the very opening passages of our video where she's coming out of the vineyards where she works full time, and the sun has darkened her skin, and he's complimenting her originally on her beauty, and she goes, "Don't look at me because my skin has been darkened by the sun and I'm unattractive."
Right.
I'm fully expecting you to have a problem with me relating that to racism, where we said in the video that dark skin equals unattractive.
Right.
So I'm going to head you off at the pass. If she meant I'm sunburnt and being sunburnt is unattractive compared to being fair skinned, then you're right. I should not have put a racist slant into that. But the way it's worded in the Bible, it seems to me that people favor
light skin over dark
fair skin over dark skin.
Yeah.
Would you give me that?
No, I mean, Africans are not going to favor light skin over dark skin. I don't, depending on the culture you bring up, there's, to say that there's anything intrinsic about light skin over dark skin over light skin is racist, okay? And I would reject that.
What if it's your personal preference, though?
But, most white people marry light-skinned people. Most Africans marry dark-skinned people. That's not a bad thing.
Is it racist to say that I prefer to date only X type of skin color? Your personal preference?
Well, I don't.
Because half of the viewers
well,
would say yes, and the other half will say, no, that's racist.
Well, it depends on how you mean it. Do you mean that? I mean, if you ask me, is person X more beautiful than Y? I might.
It's subjective. It's just what Mark Woolsey thinks.
There's a subjective attitude to it. On the other hand, if you said, I could just never see myself dating a black person. Now that would be more of a racist view. So I think you could spin it both ways. If you're just saying, what's more beautiful to me? I mean, some people say, I really like tall people, and other people and other people say, I really like short people. I don't think that's shortism or tallism.
That's a good point.
It's just, the preference. You have a culture, you have a lot of things that make up you, and there are things that seem attractive and things that seem unattractive. Yep. But if it gets down to, regardless of whether there's an attraction there, I would never date a black person because of X.
Then you just crossed the line for sure. Yeah, we can agree on that.
I think that would be bad. But no, that wasn't what I'm going to get you on.
Okay.
That wasn't quite what I was going to get you on. You did see my notes, okay? You did see my notes. But I thought it was a cheap shot. But, this is your video.
I don't want to take cheap shots. I want to hit where it hurts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's legitimate. I thought it was, I thought it was a fairly...
Cheap shots are, if I come to the truth, I want to do it legitimately.
Well, that's good then. That's good. In that case, I thought it was a cheap shot. I didn't particularly want to make a big deal about it because, you can always argue, well, you pronounced that word wrong, and boy, I'm going to beat you up on that. That's the kind of stuff I don't want to do. So...
The way it's written in the book, you could take it as sunburnt instead of just dark skin.
Oh, I don't even... No,
you have a point.
And no, I don't take it as sunburn. I take it as dark skin.
Well, she works in the vineyards for a living. So when she came out of the vineyards and she said, "Don't look at me, I'm so unattractive because my skin is so dark."
No. Look, the culture... That
could be sunburnt.
No. The culture...
Dark skin.
What's the culture then? The culture is whether you like it or not, whether you think it's the right way to do things or not. The culture was the woman's at home, the guy's working, okay?
Well,
and so you look at a woman, and if she's fair-skinned, she's being taken care of in the culturally appropriate way. If she's out working, she's had to do things that are not appropriate in that culture. And so don't look, it's
a class structure thing more than
it would be like, oh man, I've got dirt under my fingernails. It's not racism. It's not dirtism. It's I didn't make the grade that our culture lines up for us.
Okay, if you go back and watch that video, just forget that I even put a mention to racism in there because that was kind of a stretch. I'll give you that.
But what I was going to give you is why are you, if we're going to be cheap shot racist, I don't mean that badly. I mean
Dude, we're beyond formalities. Just go ahead and hit me with it.
Why are you being cheap shot racist? Isn't that calling the pot calling the kettle black?
When I wrote that line in the script, I wasn't thinking race at all.
I know.
Because it's a euphemism that we use.
It is. Okay.
But I had no racial intent whatsoever in that one.
And I'd say the same thing about this passage. So,
okay. Yeah, but when she says, isn't that pot calling the kettle black, that had nothing, I wasn't thinking race at all on that one.
Not, but see, that's not the point. The point is not what you're thinking, it's what you express, it's what gets, interpreted, sent across.
Perception is reality kind of thing?
Well, let's say that I didn't, let's say, I call you
But it's an idiomatic phrase that we use in English. If you said that in Spanish, I wouldn't even know how to say that.
Okay, an idiomatic
Spanish,
phrasing, but isn't there's all kinds of idiomatic phrases that are just incredible hot buttons today, right? And you mean nothing. You mean it completely innocent, but boy, it gets.
Have you ever heard
around.
making a mountain out of a molehill? That's an idiomatic phrase in English.
Sure.
In Spanish, that doesn't exist. If you said that, if you translated it word for word into Spanish and you said that making a mountain out of a molehill, they wouldn't understand what you're saying.
Well, that's because idioms don't translate.
They don't. In Spanish, the idiomatic phrase for that is "eso es como or cagadas de hormigas, which is that is like ant shit.
Oh.
And if you said that in English, if someone said something that would be befitting of you using that phrase, and you said, "Man, that's like ant shit," they'd look at you like, "What do you mean that's like ant shit?"
Yeah, it wouldn't
so
make any
idiomatic phrases don't translate.
No, but still, the culture today doesn't. They take idiomatic phrases and they turn them into literal phrases, and people get offended, right? So you calling the pot calling the pot calling the kettle black?
You
I'm
thought
telling
I
you.
thought racism? When
No, I
said
did
that?
not
Oh,
think.
okay,
I did
okay.
not think that.
All right.
But my point is, if you're going to call the Shunammite racist, if you're going to use that to call her racist, then you're lowering the bar so much.
I see where you're going now.
Then that is also racist. I don't agree.
If I'm going to stoop to a cheap shot like I did at the beginning, then you got to actually throw. I see where you're going now. Okay, I'll give you that one too. It's 2-0. Mark's winning 2-0. Here we go.
Now you're talking about things are trying. This is interesting too because I teach Song of Solomon. Actually, that's stretching things to 8th graders.
Well, you do bring it up?
To 8th graders.
How in the hell do you bring up this book at all to an 8th grader?
Well,
You have to speak in broad generalities
no.
about how a man loves a woman and
No.
maybe a
We
birds and
talk
bees.
about wheat. Your belly like a thing
Goblet of nectar.
No.
or-
That's the
yeah.
navel. No, the belly is
Pomegranates.
it's a sheaf of wheat or something else, and your hair is a
Wait,
flock of goats, and your
way I-
teeth.
Yeah,
pairs of ewes of lambs that come out in
when
pairs.
the analogy in the book, if you go back and watch the video, I'm not comparing the belly to wheat. I'm comparing the vulva.
No,
to wheat.
I think it's the belly.
The way I read it, it sounded a lot like the pubis,
No, I don't think so.
the vulva.
No. But see, that's you know why that is. You know why you think that
Because I'm trying to find the gotcha question or the lowest common denominator.
well, that's part of it. That we all do that, right?
I'm not reaching. There's plenty in the Bible to convict itself without me having to reach for anything extra.
But the point I'm trying to make is you're making the very
Basal.
mistake that's brought out in the book. I teach a book called Assumptions by Overman. Great book on where do you start in your thinking, because as an atheist, I'm putting words in your mouth now.
No, that's
but I would assume that you believe in the use of reason, don't you? I mean, that don't you want to base your decisions?
It's our foundation.
It's your foundation.
Yep.
Can you give me a reason why reason is your base?
It's kind of a tautology. You're begging the question a little bit, and a presuppositional apologetics person will look at what I'm about to say and say, you can't say anything because without God you can't have reason, and therefore...
You got it.
So you're not a precept guy.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, you are a presuppositional.
Well, I mean,
okay. We can have a debate. It's a non-starter.
No, sure we can.
No, it's an automatic draw because
You're
we
putting
can't.
words in my mouth.
No, I just know from talking to precept guys that there's no way to even begin a debate if a precept guy like Cy Ten Bruggencate, or there's a guy that was just at our Atheist and Christian Book Club last night, is a precept guy. You can't start a debate you can't start a discussion, anything
Sure
with them.
we can.
No, there is no starting point.
can.
There is no starting point.
Yes, there is.
No, we have to agree on, there has to be some presuppositions that we agree on, at least one.
Sure, and we
Like
do.
you and me
We
agree
do.
that reality is real.
Yep. And
That's a good presupposition.
Well, and you.
But if he starts with a presupposition that you can't know anything unless God gave you that knowledge, we can't even begin.
But see, that's I do believe in presuppositional discussions. I think those are very, very important, but not in the way that you're. I mean, I don't know all these. I don't know the guys' names that you're talking about, and maybe they go off in that kind of stuff, and maybe I'm not a real presuppositionist, okay? Because I don't live. That's not my only place where I live, okay? I do believe in classical apologetics. I do believe in.
To be a presuppositionalist, all you need to know is one phrase. How do you know that? If you got that, You're in instant presuppositions.
No. But see,
How do you know that?
But see, that's the thing. Francis Schaeffer comes across with this kind of stuff all the time, or came across, I should say, with this kind of stuff all the time. In spite of the fact, see, I depend on the fact that we share some presuppositions. What I like to be able to discuss is finding out how deeply you can go to them and what they mean and how well they match the other things that we see.
Yeah.
I like to take those things down and see. So, for example, when you know that there's right things and that there's wrong things.
Whoa.
Right?
If we're going to start talking about morality,
No,
first off, that's a whole separate issue.
It is.
Second, there's 6 words that I avoid when I'm talking morality.
What's that?
And right and wrong are 2 of them.
Perhaps.
Right, wrong, good, evil, should, and ought. Now, if we can talk about morality, and just for the sake of if you indulge me, if you leave out those 6 words, we can have a conversation. But once you introduce those 6 words, then we get in a fight over objective versus subjective. But if you take out those 6 words, you'd be surprised how interesting the conversation gets. But that's a whole separate conversation.
Yeah, I was starting to say perhaps we can go there some other time. I would hope that when we do something like that we could maybe not have our speech censored so that we couldn't use certain words that are incredibly important to the conversation.
It would be self-imposed. You're free to use any of those 6 words. It's just that it's self-imposed.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, you're free to say whatever you want.
That's fine, and we can go there.
My view of morality doesn't include those 6 words. Therefore, it's kind of, it's difficult for you. We're way on a tangent right now.
We're way off, yeah.
Back to the point.
Back to the point. There you go.
Yes. Okay, but our presupposition.
I was going to go. What I was going to go.
The only presupposition I think we can agree on right now is that reality is real, and even that presupposition is tentative for me, because there is the brain in the vat theory. There's a simulation theory, so even that is tentative for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could go there. I mean,
all right.
You can get. You can read all that kind of stuff, and you can do all.
You do accept that as a possibility, that all this is just a simulation.
Do I accept it as a possibility? I guess
you have to.
I guess I don't know how to answer that. I mean, if you want to say, I don't know how to answer that.
That's another tangent, Mark.
That's another tangent.
Yep.
I don't know how to well answer that. I know where you're going with that. I don't know the best words to give you an answer. Do I believe? Let me put it this way. To the extent that someone like Michael Shermer would say, is the resurrection a theoretical possibility? And he puts it down in a certain percentage. He does that. He's got an article where he's done that. You know,
is it a non-zero number?
It's a non-zero number.
Okay. Just like Richard Carrier, he's only 33% certain that Jesus was an actual human being.
Okay, so you know,
but at least it's 33.
Yeah. So if you're going to ask me those kind of questions, you know, if I give you anything, I would give you if I gave you anything of that, and I had to figure out how I wanted to word it. Yeah, it would be in the the minuscule percentage kind of area. But that's another.
You had some more notes?
Yeah, I had, but what I was going to say is, so I teach this. That's where we were going before.
Okay. See, I'm a master of tangents. My viewers, the longtime viewers know that I will take you down a long and lonely road, but I try to bring you back.
Yeah, and that's the right thing to do. That's what we teach. That's what we teach in debate. Now, we're going to have a debate. I'm going to have a debate with my seniors in a couple of weeks. And I said, because I want to take the persona of several different postmoderns or other kind of things, and so we're going to, and so
postmoderns like Marx.
Postmodern like Marx?
Yeah, Karl Marx.
Well, I don't call him postmodern. He's more classic. No, I wouldn't call him postmodern.
Well, who would you consider a postmodern personality?
All kinds of names. I focus more on the ideas rather than the names. I'm not taking on any one particular guy's name, but the idea that truth is perspectival, that there's no meta narrative.
We can agree on some things, I think.
And that there's that there's there's four of them. I got to remember what that I can't remember what the four are. So I take on a persona that represents that, and then my students are going to argue with me on that. So
That sounds really interesting.
oh well,
It really does. Do you put this online? Do you record it?
yeah, record it.
All right. What is you had 4 criticism? I think
Okay,
we're on
okay.
3
So
now.
here's where I was gonna go. Yeah, because what I was gonna say, there's this idea I said the P word, and presupposition. We went off. But if we can just kind of draw back from that, and by that think of not so much Christian and non-Christian, but think of Western and Eastern ways to express themselves, okay? So you read the Iliad, and I teach the Iliad, the Odyssey, and the Aeneid. So you read those things, and what do you get? You get the wine dark sea. You know what Odysseus looked like, you know what these other people look like, you know what it was like you know how he died, you know where the spear went in and came out,
Very
you know what the
descriptive,
blood
very
looked out,
detailed,
and they're visual. Okay, the Greeks that culture, which includes us today. I mean, aren't we a
Western
visual?
culture.
Aren't we a visual culture? How do you sell how do you sell beer? You get a girl up there that looks like she doesn't even know how to spell the word. You know, she's got the curves that doesn't know how to spell the word, and she's selling beer.
It appeals to our visual sense of
exactly
sexual
right.
attractiveness.
That's exactly
Courtney
right.
has a major problem with what you're saying, but I get what you're saying, though.
I'm not talking whether it's
It
right or
appeals
wrong.
to our visual sense, whatever is visually attractive. I get what he's saying.
I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. I'm saying what works.
Right.
You know. Why do you
It
think?
appeals
Why do you
to our
think they do
visual
that in
sense.
beer commercials?
So you're saying in the Eastern, Middle Eastern.
Now the Middle Eastern, their emphasis is on essence. So, how tall was Jesus?
5'4" to 5'6".
Well, you know that why? Because you know what an average Jew of that time looked like. I'm talking
the
about
Levant,
visual
yeah.
description, scripture. What did David look like? What did Solomon look like? What did Jesus look? You don't
David
know.
most definitely did exist. Solomon may or may not have existed.
Whatever.
Moses definitely did not exist.
Okay, whatever.
Okay, but
So, so you don't know what they look like. Why? Because you're describing essences. So the one that you said on wheat, which you put on another part, here's how
right.
it's in the New King James. The work of, I'm in 7, beginning, just before verse 2. The work of the hands, the skillful, let's see, verse 2. Your navel is a rounded goblet, it lacks no blended beverage. Your waist is a heap of wheat. Set
what
about
version
in
of the Bible is this?
New King James.
Okay.
Do you know what he's saying?
Okay, the version I read was not waist, it was pubis. It was mons pubis, it was the vulva.
And if you look for those things, you can find it, but you're not typically going to find it. Doesn't, I mean, you can always find titillating stuff, right? You can always find it. But what is he saying?
No, I didn't pull it.
What is
I
he
did not
saying?
pull that out of the air. I just. But it doesn't really matter.
You are fruitful.
Yeah, that's all he's saying. The whole analogy is just that he's comparing you to bounty and harvest, and I get it. It doesn't matter if it's waist or vagina or, you know.
The point he's trying to make is he's talking about what you are, what's inside, what can happen, not the visual,
Fertile.
not so much the visual. I mean, there is some visual.
It's fertility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because why? You're in an agricultural society. What do you need? Kids, right? It's just the need of the day. Whether you like it or not, that's the need of the day, right? And he's saying, I've got to choose someone that can bear those children. As a matter of fact, if you reading this, I think it's very possible in a faithful reading of this and not some kind of, well, I don't really believe it, so it just, some left-wing kind of thing. I think it's very possible to read this in a faithful way in which we have two people, a Shunammite and her lover, describing and working with each other, and you have Solomon as this idealized figure that she at times says, you're like him. This is like that.
He came to their wedding in the book.
To something to that effect, and he's also there beforehand and other kind of things. But what you have is this incredibly beautiful description, or at least from this perspective, an incredibly beautiful description, not of money, wealth, and power, but of rustic girl and rustic man that say, we get the most beautiful, God's incredible, beautiful gift has come down to the poorest people on earth, and that's you and me, and we have got, God has taken this gift that you know, we don't have the money that everybody else gets, we don't have all that, but what do we have? We have something that is so incredibly beautiful.
I agree
God
with you,
has
Mark.
poured it out on us.
You won me over. I agree with you. I still have a problem. The Bible should be, you should be able to read it from cover to cover to a child, right?
No.
No.
Why?
No?
No.
Okay, so there's some that would say that. I'm saying this book.
If you ask,
no, I agree
get in
with you.
trouble not being some.
You're celebrating sexuality. We agree on it. I get it, but this particular book is so sexually explicit, in a gratuitous fashion. Like, you could have backed off a bit and said the same story.
Oh, well now,
you know what I'm saying?
Now, in this where I'm saying,
it's
in
for its own
this when I say
sake,
waste, and
like,
you put it at another part of the
it's
woman's
porn.
body and all that kind of stuff,
I can see
and we
people-
could go back and forth. But you want to read the next verse?
I could see.
You read the
people-
next verse down.
All right.
Your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle. Okay, that's. I mean, there's no ambiguity there. It's just all there.
He goes into so much detail that there is no larger plot. They go into so much detail over.
God is
The plot is not that deep in this book. It's
well,
two
no,
kids that want to have
disagree.
sex.
I would disagree with
and
that.
they spend a lot of pages
I would
talking about how much they want to have sex and what they like about each. And you know what? Another thing, and I'm glad I remembered this. At no point in this book, and this was a problem for me, I'm so glad I remembered this, he never complimented on anything between her ears the entire time. And she did not say anything about what was between his ears. All the compliments were basal, rote, sexual desire. They never complimented on it was looks and carnal, and they never
You're
said how
thinking
intelligent.
of
They never
a
said anything
Westerner
about.
again. You're thinking
No,
Western.
this
sure.
this
lacks-
transcends all
Your
different
waste
cultures.
is a heap of wheat. He's saying
This
you
transcends all
can-
cultures. Not once did they compliment each other on their intelligence level, on what they think about the world, or that they share similar values. They never talked about that at all. It's all, your breasts are like towers, your teeth are like shaved goats.
But why? The whole. But that's the purpose of the story. The purpose of the story is not to discuss quantum physics. Okay, it's just not. The purpose. I mean.
All right.
Okay. Now look. Okay. Here's. Let me put it this way. A year and a half ago, I went to Florence. And
Oh, it's a beautiful city.
man, listen,
I love that place.
You know, you've lied because you understated.
Is it? I've been to Florence and Verona. Which one has the Romeo and Juliet, the balcony and the statue?
I don't know about Romeo and Juliet.
That must have been.
David is in Florence, but that's not.
Okay. We didn't have much time when we were there. It was kind of a USO trip tour, and we only had enough time to go see the statue of David or Galileo's tomb. And you know the science guy, where he's going. So the rest of my family had to go to see David, but guess where I went by myself?
I went.
Galileo's fucking tomb,
let me
baby.
just tell you. So you go in, you see David, and you see how incredible it is, and you know there's all these paintings around it, and any one of these paintings would bring people from hundreds of miles just around here just to see that one painting. And there's just scattered all through this, like,
David
oh,
was
well,
a
yeah,
sculpture,
we
not a
got
painting.
this. I know, but there's paintings all around the
right.
Galleria Academia, all around that. And you just got this, that, and that. And any one of those paintings would have been something people with hundreds of miles would come to see if we had it in some one person's, building here. But there, it's just like, what is this? We don't have enough places to put. We've got to put it out in the attic.
How can you not go?
So,
given the choice, you're going to go see a marble statue of a guy with a tiny penis, or you're going to go see the father of science, the guy that got exiled because he thought that, he had this crazy idea that maybe the Earth revolves around the sun. What?
Anyway, so let me finish.
Sorry.
Let me finish. So you've got all this incredible stuff.
I can't say the name of this, but
and it doesn't even hold a candle to the Uffizi Gallery in that same city. I looking up, what's this? Looking up other places to go. And I thought, let's go in there. So we go in this Uffizi Gallery, and you go into the first room, and it's just like, okay, I could be here for a few years, and no, okay, after 5 minutes, you're pulled in the next room, and it's just this long hallway, and this big U of a hallway, and there's 20 or 30 or more rooms off of it, and every one of them you could just be in for years, trying to absorb your cup. You're like a glass of water. And it's been filled, you've got the water faucet turned on, and it's filled up the glass, and it just keeps filling it up, and what do? You're in there, you're trying to take it all in, you just can't take it all, you can't take it all in, okay? So you do that, you go from room to room, you say this, you're just astounded, and then I went into yet the next room. And I actually got to go in it. Sometimes you have to go out from the hallway in, and sometimes there's an inner door that connects from one room directly into the next room. And I did that, walked in there, and right out by the wall to the door going out the hallway was Botticelli's Venus. And
I know the exact painting you're talking about. She was a little rotund in that.
Oh no, not this one. Nope.
Oh,
not this is the Birth of Venus. So she's on a shell, and got the little cherubs blowing her hair and all this kind of stuff. She's standing like this, and it looked like Botticelli had just made the last brushstroke and walked out of the room. That is how vibrant that picture was. It's not intended to teach theoretical physics.
I see where you're going with this now.
That's not the purpose of this. If you want intellectual back, I see where you're going, all Mark. Through
so this book, if I read you right, this book it's not meant, I keep saying it's not a deep plot. It really doesn't tell much of a story. It's gratuitous. But you're saying it's meant to conjure a certain type of emotion, right?
I wouldn't. I mean, it does, and I don't think that's wrong. But I think even more, it's supposed to say God's. This is how the Hebrews say God's creation is good.
I'll give you that.
God's creation is good, and that's what they're saying.
Mark
here.
wins 3-0. If you guys are keeping score at home, I'll agree. But I will say this: I get I almost said no, but I get almost no because I do like Korn and some of the new metal, but almost art, literature, poetry, anything aesthetic, I get almost no pleasure from it. I know I'm a weirdo. I know I'm an anomaly. But you know what I get pleasure out of? Seeing the passion in someone that does enjoy it. So you talking about it, I get some enjoyment out of that. Like if I looked at that Botticelli painting, do nothing for me. But hearing you talk about it does something for me.
That's not. But I love it both. I read Scientific American. I read that stuff because at least certain parts of it, the quantum mechanics, quantum physics, and not that I understand it, but I mean, just the weirdness that is.
Have you been reading or seeing
black
anything?
Holes, all that stuff is
quantum loop theory is gaining popularity.
All that stuff.
And
goes around.
we keep saying Big Bang. It's looking more and more like it could be a big bounce.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this?
Oh, I don't know. There's all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That it was never actually a singularity. It got down to the size of the Planck length, but it got no smaller than that. That it was a remnant of something. So I used to laugh at people that say what came before the Big Bang, because you can't say before the Big Bang because t equals 0.
Right.
Time and space are the same.
Right.
So you can't say before the Big Bang because there was no time before.
Right.
I might be wrong now, because if the Big Bounce theory does take shape, like it looks like it's going to, there was a before the Big Bang. It's a cyclical boom, boom.
Could have.
Anyway.
Could have. Of course, they didn't tell you what I mean, you know. It's
an infinite regress, because it still doesn't get us any closer to the beginning.
You've got, isn't probably one of, isn't that issue settled by one of the greatest theologians ever, Julie Andrews?
A little
Nothing
spoonful
comes
of
from
sugar
nothing.
makes them.
Nothing ever could.
Nothing.
Isn't it great?
Is that Sound of Music?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
but I don't think we find that in actual science.
When he-
nothing.
I thought it was spoonful of sugar makes the medicine
No,
go down.
no. Nothing comes from nothing. Nothing ever could. So somewhere in my youth or childhood,
Or nothing
I must
from
have
nothing
done,
leaves
I
nothing.
must have done something good. Isn't that great? It is
Mark,
a great one.
We're probably way over time. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
That was crazy enlightening.
Oh, good.
Come back to the show like you always do.
Oh, well, thank you. So I'll just show them that and say, that's what I want. And they say, okay, and they get it for me. So
Have you ever seen the Bible and Beer Consortium?
He's been to a bunch of
that's
them.
how I met him.
That's how we met.
I'm just saying.
That's how I got on the first video.
He still wants to get me to pray on camera for the first time
Yeah,
in my
I'm
life.
gonna
Why?
you need to.
That's what he wants.
You come.
I've never
You
prayed.
smashed my face on your shirt there. It looks
Come.
like just the two of you.
That's one of my that's on my agenda for today.
Today?
No, not to do it today, but to see if I can drag you.
See, is it rolling?
Yep.
The only reason I'm a little adverse to praying with you is I'm 52 years old, and I have literally never prayed in my life. I've never performed that action in my life. I don't want to break a streak I've got going. That's kind of stupid. B, I don't even know if I can, because I would not be honest with you, because the entire time I would be thinking this is complete horseshit. I don't think anyone can pray if they don't believe that what they're doing could be real. You know? It's like I could go through the motions.
That's all I'm asking you to do.
Just like when you did it with Zach Moore. I know the whole time he was doing it, he's thinking, absolutely nothing's going to come of this.
That's fine. I don't.
Okay.
I don't care.
I would be honored for you to be the first one that I ever pray with. Then
I would be honored to have you come.
We'll do that next time. Oh, okay.
I would prefer that it just be you and me, because I guard my conversation when I'm talking on video in different ways than I would speak to you directly.
Oh, really?
Of course.
My life's an open book, baby. This could be on, off. I don't give a shit.